Did you know that ignoring a single at safe varargs or at retention policy detail could be the difference between a pass and a fail on your Java SE certification? Java annotations are more than just comments. They are powerful metadata that drive modern frameworks like Spring and Hibernate. In this video, we will cover Java Annotations practice questions for certification exam prep. Boost your Java certification score with 30 comprehensive practice questions on Java Annotations. In this video, we tackle 30 high-yield practice questions specifically designed to mirror the current Java SE certification exams. We'll cover built-in annotations, meta-annotations, and the complex rules for creating custom ones. Grab a notebook, and let's see how many of these 30 questions you can get right. Don't forget to subscribe for more certification deep dives. Which of the following is true regarding the @override annotation? Option A. It is required by the compiler to perform method overriding. Option B. It can be applied to fields to indicate they shadow a parent field. Option C. It helps prevent errors by ensuring a method actually overrides a superclass method or implements an interface method. Option D. If applied to a method that does not override anything, the code will still compile but throw a runtime exception. The correct answer is C. The @override annotation is a marker annotation used to inform the compiler that the element is intended to override an element declared in a superclass. While not mandatory for overriding to occur, using it provides a compile time check. If the annotated method does not correctly match a signature in a parent class or interface, the compiler generates an error, preventing subtle bugs caused by typos or incorrect parameter types. It cannot be applied to fields, only to methods. If a custom annotation does not specify a @retention policy, what is the default behavior? Option A. Retention policy, source. Option B. Retention policy, class. Option C. Retention policy, runtime. Option D. The annotation will cause a compilation error. The correct answer is B. In Java, if the @retention meta-annotation is omitted from a custom annotation declaration, the default retention policy is retention policy, class. This means the annotation is recorded in the class file by the compiler but is not required to be retained by the VM at runtime. Therefore, it cannot be accessed via reflection at runtime unless explicitly set to runtime. Source retention discards the annotation during compilation, and runtime keeps it available for reflective access. Which element type value allows an annotation to be applied to a local variable declaration? Option A. Element type, variable. Option B. Element type, field. Option C. Element type, local underscore variable. Option D. Element type, type. The correct answer is C. The @target meta-annotation uses the element type enum to specify where an annotation can be placed. Element type, local underscore variable is specifically for local variable declarations. Note that annotations with this target are not available at runtime regardless of the retention policy, as they are not recorded in the bytecode in a way that reflection can access them. Element type, field is for class members, fields, and element type, type is for class interface enum declarations. Under which condition can @safe varargs be applied to a method? Option A. Any method that uses variable arguments, varargs. Option B. Only on final methods, static methods. are constructors that use var-args. Option C. Only on private methods that do not use generics. Option D. Any method that overrides a parent method using var-args. The correct answer is B. The @safe var-args annotation is used to suppress unchecked warnings related to the use of var-args with non-reifiable types, like generics. Because var-args are implemented as arrays, and arrays are covariant while generics are invariant, heap pollution can occur. To ensure safety, Java restricts @safe var-args to methods that cannot be overridden, static methods, final instance methods, and constructors. As of Java 9, it can also be used on private instance methods. Which of the following is not a valid return type for an element in a custom annotation? Option A. Java, lang, string. Option B. Java, util, list. Option C. Class. Option D. Any primitive type, e.g., int, boolean. The correct answer is B. The return types for methods, elements, in a custom annotation are strictly limited by the Java language specification. Valid types include all primitive types, string, class, enum types, other annotation types, and arrays of any of these types. Complex objects or collection types like Java, util, list, map, or custom POJOs are not allowed as return types for annotation elements. What is the primary purpose of the @suppress warnings, unchecked annotation? Option A. To prevent the compiler from checking for null pointers. Option B. To inform the compiler to ignore warnings about raw types or type safety in generic operations. Option C. To skip the compilation of a specific method. Option D. To allow the use of deprecated methods without warnings. The correct answer is B. The @suppress warnings annotation takes one or more string arguments representing the types of warnings to suppress. Unchecked specifically targets warnings related to type safety, such as when you cast a raw collection to a parameterized one, e.g., casting a raw list to list less than string greater than. This informs the compiler that the developer is aware of the potential risk and chooses to proceed, thus silencing the warning. To create a repeatable annotation in Java, which meta-annotation must be used on the annotation declaration? Option A, @repeat. Option B, @multivalue. Option C, @repeatable. Option D, @inherited. The correct answer is C. Introduced in Java 8, @repeatable allows the same annotation to be applied multiple times to the same declaration. To implement this, you must define the annotation itself, e.g., @schedule, and a containing annotation, e.g., @schedules, that holds an array of the base annotation. The @repeatable meta-annotation is placed on the base annotation and points to the class of the containing annotation, @repeatable, schedules, class. What does the @inherited meta-annotation do? Option A. It allows an annotation to be used on interface methods. Option B. It causes the annotation to be automatically inherited by subclasses of the annotated class. Option C. It forces all subclasses to implement the annotated method. Option D. It makes the annotation available to the entire package. The correct answer is B. By default, annotations are not inherited. If a class is annotated with an annotation that has the inherited meta-annotation, any subclass of that class will also be considered to have that annotation. Note that inherited only works for class inheritance. It does not cause annotations to be inherited from interfaces to implementing classes. The functional interface annotation is used to: Option A. Create a new thread for the interface. Option B. Mark an interface that has exactly one abstract method to ensure it can be used with lambda expressions. Option C. Indicate that an interface should only contain static methods. Option D. Allow an interface to have multiple default methods. The correct answer is B. While any interface with a single abstract method, SAM, is technically a functional interface, the functional interface annotation provides a compile time check. If a developer adds a second abstract method to an interface marked with this annotation, the compiler will raise an error. This ensures the interface remains compatible with lambda expressions and method references. Which of the following is the correct syntax for defining a default value for an annotation element? Option A. String value equals default. Option B. String value default default. Option C. String value default. Option D. String value return default. Closing curly bracket. The correct answer is B. In an interface definition, elements are declared like methods. To provide a default value, the default keyword is used followed by the value. The syntax is type name, default value, If a default is provided, the user of the annotation can optionally omit that element when applying the annotation. What happens if you use a method marked with @deprecated? Option A. The program will fail to compile. Option B. The program will compile, but the compiler will issue a warning. Option C. A runtime exception is thrown when the method is called. Option D. The JVM will automatically replace it with a newer version of the method. The correct answer is B. The deprecated annotation informs the compiler and the developer that the annotated element is outdated and may be removed in future versions. Using a deprecated element results in a compilation warning, not an error. Developers are encouraged to use alternative methods specified in the documentation, often using the deprecated javadoc tag. As of Java 8, which element type allows annotations to be applied to any use of a type, including new and casts? Option A. Element type, type. Option B. Element type, type_parameter. Option C. Element type, type_use. Option D. Element type, constructor. The correct answer is C. Element type, type_use was introduced in Java 8 to support type annotations. Unlike element type, which is for class interface declarations, type_use allows annotations to appear on any use of a type. Generic type arguments, casts, implements clauses, and even with the new operator. This is widely used by static analysis tools, like Checker Framework, to find null pointer risks or unit errors. Which character is used to denote the start of an annotation in Java? Option A, hash. Option B, $. Option C, @ Option D, and. The correct answer is C. All Java annotations begin with the @ symbol followed by the name of the annotation. This syntax distinguishes them from other code elements like variables or keywords. In a custom annotation, if an element is named value, what special shorthand is allowed? Option A. The element name can be omitted if it is the only element being assigned. Option B. The value element can be assigned multiple times. Option C. The element can be assigned using the equals operator without parentheses. Option D. There is no special shorthand for value. The correct answer is A. If an annotation has an element named value and no other elements are being explicitly assigned, you can omit the value equals part and just provide the value in parentheses. For example, @myAnnotation test is shorthand for @myAnnotation value equals test. This is common in single value annotations. Which meta-annotation indicates that an annotation should be included in the generated JavaDoc? Option A, @JavaDoc. Option B, @visible. Option C, @documented. Option D, @included. The correct answer is C. By default, annotations are not shown in JavaDoc. If an annotation type is annotated with @documented, then the use of that annotation will be documented in the public API documentation of the classes, methods that use it. Can an annotation definition itself be annotated? Option A. No. That results in a circular dependency. Option B. Yes. These are called meta-annotations. Option C. Only with @deprecated. Option D. Only if the annotation is public. The correct answer is B. Yes. Annotations can be applied to other annotation definitions. These are referred to as meta-annotations. Common meta-annotations provided by the JDK include @target, @retention, @inherited, and @documented. They define the behavior and scope of the custom annotation being created. Which of these is not a built-in annotation in the Java Lang package? Option A, @override. Option B, @saveFarArgs. Option C, @target. Option D, @suppress warnings. The correct answer is C. @override, @saveFarArgs, and @suppress warnings are all part of the Java Lang package. However, @target, along with @retention, @documented, and @inherited, is part of the Java Lang annotation package. These are meta-annotations used to define other annotations. What is the result of adding a throws clause to a method inside a custom interface? Option A. It allows the annotation to be used in try-catch blocks. Option B. It results in a compile time error. Option C. It is ignored by the compiler. Option D. It forces the annotation processor to handle exceptions. The correct answer is B. Methods. Elements in an annotation declaration must not have any parameters and must not have a throws clause. They are purely for defining the metadata structure. Any attempt to add a throws clause or parameters will cause a compilation error. Which method of the class object is used to check if a specific annotation is present at runtime? Option A. Is annotation present? Class less than? Extends annotation greater than annotation class. Option B. Has annotation. String name. Option C. Get annotation list. Option D. Check annotation. Annotation A. The correct answer is A. The backquote is annotation present backquote method is part of the backquote annotated element backquote interface, which is implemented by backquote class backquote method backquote field backquote, etc. It returns true if an annotation of the specified type is present on the element at runtime. For this to work, the annotation must have a backquote retention policy, runtime backquote. Starting with Java 9, at safe_var args can be used on which type of methods? Option A. Public instance methods. Option B. Private instance methods. Option C. Protected instance methods. Option D. Abstract methods. The correct answer is B. Prior to Java 9, at safe_var args was restricted to constructors, static methods, and final methods. This was because these types cannot be overridden. Java 9 expanded this to include private instance methods, as they also cannot be overridden, maintaining the safety guarantee of the annotation. Can an annotation element return an array of annotations? Option A. No. Only primitive arrays are allowed. Option B. Yes. Nesting annotations in this way is permitted. Option C. Only if the nested annotation is marker only. Option D. No. This would cause a stack overflow in the compiler. The correct answer is B. Java allows annotation elements to return other annotations or arrays of annotations. This is how nested annotations are achieved. For example, a table annotation might have an element backquote index, indexes, backquote, where at index is another annotation type. Which annotation is a marker annotation with no elements? Option A, at suppress warnings. Option B, at override. Option C, at retention. Option D, at target. The correct answer is B. At override is a classic example of a marker annotation. It contains no elements. No parentheses needed. At suppress warnings requires at least one value, the warning name, while at retention and at target require a policy or element types respectively. Which element type should be used to allow an annotation on a generic type parameter itself? E.g., at myAnnot greater than. Option A. Element type. Option B. Element type underscore parameter. Option C. Element type underscore use. Option D. Element type parameter. The correct answer is B. While element type underscore use allows an annotation on the use of a type, element type underscore parameter specifically allows the annotation to be placed on the declaration of the type parameter itself, such as in backquote less than at myAnnot greater than class myClass less than t greater than backquote. What is the purpose of the @native annotation? Option A. To indicate that a method is implemented in C or C++. Option B. To mark a field as being accessible by native code and that it may be used for header file generation. Option C. To force the JVM to run the code natively. Option D. To prevent the field from being serialized. The correct answer is B. The native annotation is a metadata marker for fields that define constant values which might be referenced from native code. It serves as a hint to tools, like those generating JNI headers, that the field is significant for native interoperability. What is the syntax to declare a custom annotation? Option A. Public class at interface myAnnotation. Option B. Public at interface myAnnotation. Option C. Public annotation myAnnotation. Option D. Public interface at myAnnotation. The correct answer is B. Custom annotations are defined using the "at interface" keyword. This creates a special kind of interface that the Java compiler treats as an annotation type. They cannot extend other classes or interfaces. If you query a class for an annotation at runtime using reflection, but that annotation has a retention policy class, what is the result? Option A. A runtime exception is thrown. Option B. The method returns null or false. Option C. The annotation is successfully retrieved because it is in the class file. Option D. The compiler would have prevented this reflective call. The correct answer is B. Even though a class-level annotation exists in the bytecode class file, the JVM does not load it into memory at runtime. Therefore, methods like "getAnnotation" will return null, and "is annotation present" will return false. Only runtime retention makes annotations accessible via the reflection API. Can suppress warnings be applied to a local variable? Option A. Yes. It can be applied to declarations of classes, fields, methods, parameters, and local variables. Option B. No. It only works at the class level. Option C. Only if the retention is set to runtime. Option D. Yes. But only in Java 17 and above. The correct answer is A. The suppress warnings annotation has a very broad target including element type, field, method, parameter, constructor, and local underscore variable. This allows developers to suppress warnings in the most narrow scope possible, which is a best practice. When using repeatable, the containing annotation must have an element named value, that is. Option A. A string array. Option B. An array of the repeatable annotation type. Option C. A list of the repeatable annotation type. Option D. A single instance of the repeatable annotation type. The correct answer is B. The container annotation for a repeatable annotation must contain a method named "value" that returns an array of the repeatable annotation type. For example, if "@hint" is repeatable, the "@hints" container must have "hint" value Which of these is a valid constant value for a retention? Option A. Retention policy, bytecode. Option B. Retention policy, runtime. Option C. Retention policy, compiler. Option D. Retention policy, VM. The correct answer is B. The "retention policy" enum has exactly three constants. "source", "class", and "runtime". These define the lifecycle of the annotation. Options like bytecode or VM are not valid. If you annotate a method with @deprecated, how should you specify the version in which it was deprecated? Since Java 9. Option A. Using the version element @deprecated version equals 1.8. Option B. Using the since element @deprecated since equals 1.8. Option C. Using the @since annotation separately. Option D. It is not possible to specify the version in the annotation. The correct answer is B. Since Java 9, the @deprecated annotation has two new elements: backquote since backquote, a string, and backquote for removal backquote, a boolean. Backquote since backquote specifies the version in which the element became deprecated, and backquote for removal backquote indicates whether the element is intended to be removed in a future release. That's 30 questions down. How did you do? Java annotations might seem small, but understanding their metadata rules is essential for advanced development and certification. Success! If you found this helpful, give this video a thumbs up and check out the full course link in the description for more practice. Exams. For a complete mock exam and more resources, check the link in the description below.